General Hospital spoilers for Thursday. March 27 tease that Jason is slipping into a state of heightened alert as the rapidly escalating events around him are no longer just internal disturbances but are beginning to take the shape of a real threat. He has always been someone who controls his emotions, acting based on reason, but right now, a new story is shaping up chaotically, where he himself becomes a link pushed to the center of the storm. A recent series of actions, from confronting Tracy, protecting Drew, to the suspicions surrounding his close allies, has left Jason unable to remain still. The scariest thing isn't coming from the outside, but from within himself, as he begins to realize he is acting more on instinct than on a plan. One part of him wants to maintain order, to protect his family from the ongoing rift. But another part, the one that has been hurt, lost, and resisted injustice, is rising strongly, pushing him to sometimes make decisions that go beyond the safety limits. This has started to make those around him feel worried, and even Jason himself feels the need to step back, carefully considering each next step before everything becomes irreparable. Jason cannot deny that he has made some reckless reactions, from confronting Tracy head-on in an impromptu meeting to interrupting an internal investigation to protect a loved one he is not sure still. Elle deserves his trust. Each of these actions, although stemming from loyalty, is making the situation tenser than ever. A new shock is silently forming as Jason's loss of control could become the catalyst that causes family relationships to collapse even faster. He feels the suspicious glances, the behind-the-back conversations, and the growing caution spreading within the PCPD and among close associates. Amid all this, Jason knows it's time to realign himself. He can no longer let emotions lead the way. A new course of action must be mapped out, not to confront, but to minimize the damage, bridge the existing cracks, and gradually regain control of the situation. He begins to re-establish his private network, reaching out to those he once distrusted to gather information, observing the situation instead of reacting immediately. He is no longer the cold and silent Jason standing on the sidelines, but also not the impulsive Jason of recent days. This time, he needs to be the one who can turn everything around, with intellect, courage, and the self-restraint that only those who have experienced the greatest loss can truly understand. Jason knows time is running out. Every decision now could be the final blow to either salvage or completely break the fragile balance remaining. And if he wants to prevent the crisis from spreading further, he himself must be the first to adjust his direction before it's too late. Jordan is stepping into a new chapter of her life. One full of surprises, where the tough defenses that have protected her heart for many years are slowly starting to crack. Isaiah, the man she once viewed as a temporary ally, has now become the center of the deep feelings she once tried to hide. In a series of tumultuous events, as everything around her seems to be slipping off course, Jordan finds an unexpected warmth in Isaiah, a rare safety in a world full of chaos. Their connection isn't the result of promises or prearranged plans. It formed naturally. From brief early conversations, from working together, from glances that lasted longer than necessary, gradually becoming an undercurrent that swept them both away before they even realized it. And then, when Jordan truly opens her heart, an act that even surprises her, everything begins to change. No longer the cold, cautious Jordan who always kept her distance. She is allowing herself to feel, to trust, and most importantly, to allow herself to love once again. But from this moment, a new shock begins to emerge. The fact that Jordan and Isaiah have become a hot new couple not only surprises those around them but also places her at the center of a complex wave of reactions. Because when a woman who once held a position of power, who always put principles first, chooses to lower her defenses for a man whose full past is still unclear, vigilance becomes inevitable. Judging eyes, rumors, and doubts start to surround them. This isn't just a love story. This is the transformation of someone once shaped by pain, now daring to step out of her shell to touch something she had been avoiding. And then, the old obsessions begin to resurface. Jordan cannot forget the losses, the betrayals. The time she was pushed to the darkest corners of life when she trusted the wrong people. Though Isaiah brings her peace and passion, the deepest part of her still questions. Will this time be different? Could this be the beginning of healing, or just a precursor to another scar? As emotions intensify, as her heart races from a simple touch, fear starts to creep in, that this change is going farther than ever before, and she's not sure if she's ready to keep up. Isaiah, with his steady and understanding presence, seems to be playing the role of a catalyst, pushing Jordan to break her old limits. But that also means her life is no longer under her full control. And for Jordan, who has always lived by rules and principles, this is an adventure that is both alluring and full of danger. The transformation within her, in the way she perceives the world and looks at herself, is reaching the deepest layers of her being, where reason and emotion struggle against each other daily. And through all of this, Jordan realizes that she is walking down a road with no turning back. A journey with no map. But for the first time in a long time, she is no longer afraid. Lucky is preparing for a moment he has kept hidden in his heart for a long time, a surprise for Elizabeth, one that he hopes will open a new chapter. Or at least heal some of the gaps that have quietly remained between them. After years of separation, after the pain, the breakups, and the not quite reconciliations, Lucky knows full well that Elizabeth is no longer the woman he once loved unconditionally, and he is no longer the young man of old. But his heart has never forgotten her. And it is this that has driven him to return, not just for the children, not out of responsibility, but because he wants something truly different. The surprise Lucky brings is not just a material gift or a trip, but a profound decision that could realign the entire emotional trajectory between them. He wants Elizabeth to know that he has thought long and hard, has looked back on everything they have been through, and now he is ready to face all that was left unsaid. But at the same time, this act also awakens a new wave of obsessions in Elizabeth's mind, forcing her to confront the old pain, the unhealed cracks, and the feelings she once tried to bury to move on. Lucky's return carries a strange energy, both familiar and worrisome. For Elizabeth, this isn't just an emotional reunion, but a test of her own courage. She has stabilized her life, accepted her losses, and learned to live without Lucky by her side. But now, with his appearance, with his eyes still holding on to regret and affection, all the boundaries she has tried to set up are beginning to shake. Meanwhile, Lucky isn't here just to wait for forgiveness or to ask for a reunion. He has a clear plan. A new vision for the future, not imposing, not forcing, but a sincere invitation for Elizabeth to step into a new journey. One where they can shed the scars of the past and build something true to who they are now. The love between them has never disappeared, but it has changed, and now, that very change is at the center of the biggest adjustments in both of their lives. However, these adjustments are not coming smoothly. The obsessions from the past, Lucky's mistakes, the times Elizabeth felt abandoned, are all resurfacing like an undercurrent, threatening to wash away any hope if they are not strong enough to face them. And Elizabeth knows that if she chooses to open her heart, if she chooses to embrace Lucky's surprise, it's not just an opportunity, but also a gamble, one where her heart will once again be on the table. Amid all the uncertainty, one thing is clearer than ever: Lucky and Elizabeth are at a crucial crossroads, where their old love can't continue unless it changes, but it also cannot die unless it is freed. Alexis is at a pivotal moment, as she makes a new demand of Rick, a request that not only reflects the inner struggles she is facing but also serves as a test for the complex relationship between two people who once loved, betrayed, and held on to too many unresolved issues. This demand is not a simple personal request, but a strategic move made in a volatile context, where problems are escalating and old relationships are being torn apart by conflicting agendas and overlapping schemes. Rick's presence in Alexis' current orbit makes everything more chaotic. Both of them have stepped out of each other's lives with unspoken wounds, but Alexis has never forgotten that Rick had a profound influence on how she views justice, power, and trust. Now, with internal upheavals in Port Charles pushing everything to the brink, Alexis needs a specific action from Rick, not because she still has feelings for him, but because she knows he holds key pieces that could change the entire situation. On the surface, Her request might appear to be a proposal for collaboration in a legal matter or an underground force manipulating events behind the scenes. But beneath it, there's a powerful unspoken message. Alexis is ready to enter a new game, where she is no longer an observer or a mediator, but an active player. Willing to adjust strategies and even sacrifice certain moral boundaries to achieve a greater goal. And that means Rick is no longer allowed to stay on the sidelines. He must choose a side and decide what role he will play in the upcoming confrontation. However, Alexis' demand also sets off an underlying tension, as it brings up lingering problems from the past. Alexis reaching out to Rick, the man who once betrayed her. The one who hurt her to the core, makes those around her start to question whether Alexis has lost her way or if she is plotting something much more than what they believe. For Rick, who always remains calm, it's impossible to hide his confusion as he faces Alexis in a completely new role, no longer the woman wounded by her emotions, but one who has grown strong through disappointment and clarity. All of this is leading to a series of major shifts in their relationship, as personal feelings are pushed aside for political, legal, and survival objectives that affect many others. Old boundaries are being erased, and principles that were once inviolable are now being bent. And at the heart of this storm, Alexis is proving that she is no longer the woman who acts on emotion, but one who acts for the truth, no matter how painful that truth may be. Things are going further than anyone anticipated. And with this demand, Alexis is not only putting Rick in a position where he must choose, but she is also setting Port Charles on a new path, where alliances, betrayals, and justice will be rewritten with a completely different pen. Felicia has done something she believed was the right thing, an action born from genuine concern. From a heart that has known loss and wants to save others from the pain she endured. But like any decision driven by strong emotions and good intentions, the price of it is sometimes unforeseen until it's too late. When Felicia chose to reveal a secret from Sasha's past, a piece of memory that had been buried so deep, perhaps deliberately, she opened not just a door, but a storm, causing everything in Sasha's life to spiral once again. That secret wasn't just information. It was an unhealed wound, a fragment of memory torn open, forgotten, and left behind to continue living. Felicia thought that bringing the truth to light would help Sasha heal. She believed that if Sasha knew the whole story, about a child she thought she had lost or a loved one she thought had abandoned her, it would be a chance to rebuild what had been lost. But what Felicia didn't anticipate was that Sasha wasn't ready, and may never truly be ready, at least not right now, when she's still struggling with layered wounds. When her trust in others is a fragile, easily shattered thing. When Sasha learned the truth, she didn't explode, didn't scream, didn't make a scene like some might in that situation. Instead, she went silent, her eyes filled with a mixture of suppressed emotion. Because she understood, and that's the most painful part, that Felicia did this because she thought it was the best way to help her. But it was that help that made Sasha feel empty. As though she no longer had control over her own story. Once again, decisions about her fate, her memories, her future, were made by someone else. In that moment, Sasha felt like she was falling back into a familiar dark place, where everything had once been taken from her career, her love, her honor. And now her right to decide when to confront the past. She felt smothered by Felicia's love for her, and that created a new crack in her soul, not loud, but smoldering, persistent, and deep. For Felicia, when she realized the true impact of her actions, she couldn't hide her guilt. She wondered if love could become a weapon when it's imposed at the wrong time. She realized that sometimes the people who seem strong and need to be pushed just need a little space to breathe, to feel, to decide for themselves. In trying to do the right thing, Felicia overlooked the most important thing. Sasha needed to choose, not be pushed into the truth when she wasn't strong enough to face it. This situation also highlighted a profound shift in how Felicia saw her role. She used to be the one standing outside, supporting from a distance, observing with understanding. But this action showed that she had gone too far, not out of malice, but out of fear that others would stumble like she did. And in doing so, She forgot that everyone needs to stumble in order to grow, to mature in their own way. This event has not only changed the relationship between Felicia and Sasha, but also created a ripple effect around them. Those who once saw Felicia as a steady advisor now begin to question the limits of kindness. Those who once relied on Sasha as a symbol of strength and recovery now see her standing on the fragile line between rebirth and collapse. All of this shows that a major shift is underway. Not just in the lives of these two women, but in how Port Charles as a whole will face pain, truth, and the shattered pieces of the past. And if Felicia wants to make amends, if Sasha wants to find herself again, they will have to learn to face each other not as savior and saved, but as two people trying to survive, in the truest way. Even if they have to walk through the pain.